at a fundamental level that for me, this is what's true. I chose to forget my power, my connection, so that I could experience the remembering.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Being Inspired radio show. My name is Amanda Johnson, your host, and I am back with another guest who I have complete confidence, complete certainty is here to share with you, with me, insight, inspiration, wisdom. This woman I have recently connected with due to another mutual friend, a former or previous guest on the show, and immediately upon dialing in and seeing her face and feeling her energy, I am already grateful. I am already grateful to know her and to share her with each of you. So thank you for tuning in and receiving exactly what you are meant to receive from this inspired conversation today. I'd like to introduce you to our guest, Aria Everts. Aria is a superpower catalyst supporting heart-centered leaders with embodying their fullest gifts so that we can live in a world where all life thrives. Aria understands the deep desire to leave this world a better place and the challenge of holding such huge visions. She has come to understand that healing, refining, and exploring our superhero selves and powers is a gateway toward harmony on earth. Aria, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So happy and grateful to be here.
I'll speak more to this later, but I want to say now, when I read your bio, what really landed with me, and this is why I know you came into my life and why I know we were meant to have this conversation. Because as those listening, if you've listened to any of my other shows, I have shared often that I do this first and foremost for myself. And I know that may sound selfish, though I see it as a very divine selfishness, a self-fullness that I know in order to offer what I am here to offer and to share the gifts I am here to share, I first and foremost need to receive what I need to receive to do that. And that may come in the form of a conversation, in the form of a book, in the form of a healing modality. And it's beautiful because, Aria, as I read your bio, you talk about this desire to leave the world a better place and what can actually, how that can be or feel like a challenge to those of us who feel that compulsion, that desire. And it's no coincidence that you and I are having this conversation right here, right now. So I look forward to where our conversation leads us and how it will serve not only me, but each and every person listening. So how I open up the conversation is with a very simple, yet not always easy question. And the question is, why do you do what you do in the world?
Beautiful question. So I've been contemplating this a little bit, and there is a heartache that I feel that I'm in touch with every single day. And it has to do with the disconnection that humanity as a collective is experiencing right now to spirit, to ourselves, to our incredibly precious, beautiful Mama Earth. And it's this deep grief that I've felt just for myself, having an element of disconnection for a lot of my life, from like who I really am and how powerful I really am, and all the conditioning and programs and games and the sadness of that, of the kind of what I often refer to as sort of the veil of forgetting, and how to be with that. grief, and oftentimes also some anger comes into the mix there, this kind of fierce love that shows up as like rage, or what are we doing? Like, can we just get it together? Can we just really remember how freaking amazing we are, and beautiful we are, and precious we are? And so that's what drives me. That's why I do what I do.
You are speaking to so many things. The compassionate anger that can drive so many of us, and this I would say illusion of disconnection, and I want to go into that a little bit. And because I don't mean to minimize that or to suggest it doesn't really feel that way, and yet I want to go into that, and also this. Why do we not embrace what is keeping us from fully owning our power? Because I heard that word. So the questions, if I'm writing out the word question in my head, and then in parentheses, there's an S, because there may be more than one question that comes through, so I would love to hear your perspective on disconnection, right? Like, are we truly disconnected? This is a bit of a leading question. Or is there an illusion of disconnection? So if you can speak to that, and also with that, because I think they're connected, why are we disconnected from, or, stepping away from, or not leaning into how truly powerful we are?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, the human experience, so what those questions lead me to is what I've come to understand is sort of the ecstasy, the bliss, the joy of coming to the knowing that, yes, this connection is an illusion, that it's like the choice to forget coming into the human experience, the choice to have the veils clouding our perception of how connected we are, is like all for that unfolding ecstasy of then recognizing.
I want you to go back and repeat what you just said. I think literally what came through you was so powerful. It interrupted. I couldn't hear you for a minute. It was like I felt it. My whole body felt it. And then it went silent. So if Spirit wants you to repeat it, will you attempt to repeat what you that last sentence?
Yes. So I was speaking to the joy of remembering and choosing the human experience, and being able to know at a fundamental level that for me, this is what's true. I chose to forget my power, my connection, so that I could experience the remembering.
Oh, that is good.
Mic drop, apparently. I went out.
That's exactly what happened. You totally had a technological mic drop. I feel there is more for you to continue speaking to, and I'll simply allow this pause or this interruption to say, I love that the reason we choose to feel disconnected is so that we can experience the joy, the bliss of remembrance. And that, wow, how empowering is that? So love that. And let's keep going, because I feel now so now you see in your own life how you chose to forget your power, to disconnect from, or to experience a disconnection from your power. And what else is in there? Because there's so many layers to that, right? What starts to happen when you remember?
I mean, Amanda, that's been like the journey I've been on since I could put this into words, is like, oh, well, if I forgot like that percentage of my power and now I've remembered it, and I feel this infinite quality to myself as being connected to the infinite nature of spirit and all that is created in love. And so, like, what else is possible from here? You know, and like really tuning in to like what not just I'm capable of in my own embodiment of power, superpowers, supernatural gifts, spiritual gifts, whatever you want to call it. But then collectively, like, how can we as humans here in this reality really start to come more into like the fullness of ourselves? And I think it is this like process of expanding that just can go on forever. You know, like, what could we become? Who are we? Like, who do we want to be? So that's sort of where I'm really curious what we're capable of. And I know I was dropping into the show on angels, and you were talking a lot about clairvoyance and clairaudience and a lot of those sorts of gifts. And I mean, that's part of it, but like, there's so much more, you know, there's so much that we're capable of. And I talk to people every day. I mean, clients tell me things about their superpowers, and I'm like, that's a new one. I never even imagined that that could be an ability. But people have these abilities, and they're just walking around the world, like, not even sometimes sure what's going on. It's amazing.
And what I hear you reminding us all of, myself included, that first of all, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with not remembering these gifts, with feeling disconnected from these gifts. That's actually, like, that's literally how it's meant to be. If you were to really kind of zoom out, right? Like, we signed up for this. We said, please put me on earth in this body to forget all of my powers and abilities so that I can move through the world in this human experience, remembering. And every time I remember a new ability or a new gift or a new a piece of my power or whatever expression of my power, I get really excited and I get more joyful and I feel more bliss. And what a fun treasure hunt we're on, right? Like, if we choose to see it that way, if we choose to go, I am now, what I have to look forward to is more revelations, more uncoverings, more surprises, more, and so there's this, like, really, I'm speaking to you, and literally, I would often go in a different direction. I'm a great cynic. I am a brilliant skeptic. Like, I've lived in that world, and it makes me who I am today. And I love that, like, literally spirit is going, look how powerful this is. Look how brilliant this is. Look how quote unquote positive this is. So thank you for that. And there's also something here about, and I want to speak to this quickly myself and then really turn it to you for you to share your experience. As I have been remembering, and I've had many experiences of, whoa, that's my power. Like, I'm experiencing it. And at times it freaks me out a little, right? At times I go, oh shit, whoa, that I just made that light turn on, or whatever it is. Like, I mean, like, I'm really in a state of deep awareness of what I am capable of. And then I feel the contraction. Then I feel the wanting to retreat, or the doubt, or getting into my head, or blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So can you speak to that part of the experience of, as we reveal our gifts and are remembering our power, what has that been like for you or for those that you work with that you want to share?
Yeah, thank you for sharing about that experience. And I can definitely relate. And one of the things that I've noticed, certainly earlier in my journey and with folks that I work with, there can sometimes be, like in the process of remembering, there can sometimes be a way that a part of the mind may come in and start to shame us, shaming ourselves for the forgetting. So it's like we may have like a moment of insight or like tap into something new. And then like this voice comes in like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't remember this sooner. Where have you been? You know, like, come on, dude. Like that kind of a voice, sometimes maybe a little meaner sounding. So like that part and what you spoke to of like, can we just walk around and celebrate when we remember stuff? You know, like I really invite us all to give ourselves permission to not shame ourselves when we're waking up to our gifts. When we're stepping more into our power, there's no need to like all timing is perfect, I believe, you know, and just like honoring and celebrating when parts of us do come online is a part of the journey. And to speak to the other piece here that you're bringing up, it can be very confusing. It can be very confusing when our powers start to activate. And so gentleness with ourselves and allowing ourselves to calibrate. So I think a lot in terms of different frequencies, different vibrations, and what vibrations our bodies are able to connect into and hold. So when I talk about embodying superpowers and literally speaking to the vibrations that we're able to hold in our bodies. And so in that process, we can sometimes like tap into a gift and kind of get a sense of something that's possible. But then to actually consistently hold that vibrational frequency in our body becomes like a little bit of a practice. So it's like growing a muscle. But just because you tap into something one day and it feels like it's gone the next doesn't mean that you're not capable of it. It's like inviting it in and finding out what you need to do to nourish yourself, to take care of yourself, to come into alignment with your higher self, with love, with whatever alignment is to you, to allow those frequencies to live inside you more often.
Beautiful. One question I want to ask that's so gorgeous, by the way, is what you just said. What I want to ask is, I have many friends surrounding me now, all at their own pace on their journey, right? And their perfect place. As you said, you reminded us that the timing is right, the timing is perfect, and no need to shame our own progress. Yet I hear this question quite a bit, and I've certainly felt it myself, maybe not to the same degree, but it's certainly come up where, well, why can't I hear things? Why can't I see things? You know, why? And there's this sense of a couple of things here, right? This, first of all, perhaps there's still a belief out there that this is only for some of us, right? These gifts, these superpowers, all of this. There are still some of us out there who are like, well, that's not me. She's talking about someone else. So I would love for you to speak to that. And even for those of us who do know, we too have access to all of this. Speaking to the fact that I imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that yes, we all have access to all of it, right? And I imagine that I don't necessarily need to walk through this human experience with all of them, right? Like in this life, I may have this one and this one, you know, or so this idea that like, because they aren't all available to me in this moment, there's nothing wrong with that either. Do you see what I'm asking? And can you speak to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely, again, relate to that because um, some of the folks I'm working with have gifts that I'm like, wow, I want that one. How do I turn that one on for myself, And I don't know if it will activate in me or not. It's like I'm totally in the mystery there. So just because I'm like talking about superpowers or teaching about them doesn't mean that I have them all in like a strong way. Some of them I do, but a lot of them I just know about them. And so one of, again, to kind of paint a little bit of a picture for anyone listening, one of the images that really supports me is that of a puzzle, and just kind of trusting that we're each this little unique piece of the puzzle, and whoever sides we're brushing up against, whatever, however our gifts may intertwine, our powers may intertwine with those around us, is again perfect. And I'm not gonna, probably embody every single thing in this lifetime. Maybe I will, maybe I have in other lifetimes, I don't know. But to be able to like enjoy and deepen into where there is an opening, and knowing that one of the superpowers is unimagined superpowers. So like you might be walking around the world thinking, I don't have any of these gifts, spiritual, what are they talking about? But maybe you can do something that nobody has ever even thought of yet. And that's your gift, to imagine it and to sink into that. And just to give an example, a client texted me yesterday sharing about a kind of new superpower that came in for him. This is a person who can touch a crystal and get all the information from the crystal, where it was from, how it was mined, like its whole life journey. Just this instantaneous download from the crystal. And he was walking through a neighborhood in a place where there have been a lot of cemeteries. And he was saying hello to a tree. And this tree gave him the complete download of the life of someone that was intertwined in the tree's root, having been buried under this tree. This tree was growing around them. And so, I never thought of that. I had never imagined that would be possible, right?
Wow.
So, like, holding curiosity, holding openness, holding wonder. I think these are the things that can help us activate and open to what's there for us.
Okay. My next question, I have two, but I'm going to ask this one first. For someone, this is where my cynic and skeptic are going to come back online, because they like to play and be a part of the conversation, because some people out there listening might be like, this sounds cool. And totally. So the question that is coming up for me, because I was just taught how to see someone's aura like 3 days ago. And if you were to ask me, did I see her aura? And then my other friends, I would say yes. And the critic, the cynic, the skeptic in my mind says, well, are you sure? Aren't you just convincing yourself you saw that? Aren't you just like, I immediately went, and I know you spoke to this a little bit already, but like there's this immediate like, well, how do I know? So for example, when my, well, now I'm actually understanding it might be clairaudience. I didn't know that's what it was called. I thought it was more claircognizance, but it doesn't matter. This sense of like, I have information that I'm being given. I would hear it as my own thought. And I remember it's still a journey. I'm getting better at it, but it took me a while going, but that's just my own thought. That I'm just thinking those things. Like those are just thoughts I'm having. It's not divine guidance. And it took me a little bit of time to navigate. Oh yeah, I'm not just like quote unquote making this up. So for those listening who, like me, have had that doubt or that cynicism or that skeptical nature of, yeah, but how do I even know these are my gifts? I mean, am I just making it up?
Mm-hmm.
How do you address that while as these gifts are coming online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a great question. And I would say, I'll answer it in a couple of different ways. One is ask for confirmations. So if there are signs that can be meaningful for you, things like almost like extraordinary serendipities, let's call them, that can be really helpful when these superpowers are turning on. I know it was for me. In my journey, I would have images or words come in and not know how they could possibly be related to a client's process, but I would share them anyway and then receive confirmation from someone. So having it come back through another person can be really helpful when you know that that person is neutral and like doesn't have an agenda to confirm your spiritual gift. Or just other signs, you know, from nature, from, you know, car license plates to overhearing someone say a word, right? Like there's all kinds of ways that information can flow into us that can just be that little exclamation point that sometimes the left side of our brain needs to trust ourselves, to deepen into trusting ourselves. And then, you know, another side of this for folks that are interested in some of the science around these things, I highly recommend checking out the work of the Heart Math Institute. They're a research institute in the Bay Area that has been researching the heart, the physical heart, for over 30 years. And while they won't, like their research doesn't address like all the things we're talking about in this conversation, they do have quite a body of work around how the electromagnetic waves of the heart are interacting with the world around us and the impacts that that has. So the heart waves are 100 times stronger than our brains. And even through like virtual connections like you and I right now, Amanda, like our hearts are actually picking up and receiving a lot of information from each other. And all that goes to our brain, goes to our nervous system. And so in this way, for me, it's kind of a foundation of understanding that helps me make sense of just how vast the field of consciousness is and how connected to it we are, and the amount of information that we can pick up outside of our brains, beyond our heads, to kind of root into what understanding that may be beyond what we think understanding is.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We'll make sure to also put that in the show notes for anyone wanting to look into more of that research and information. I appreciate you giving both your own experience and insight and directing us to something else that might continue to support that. The other question that came up that I actually feel like you were just moving there naturally now is you have this passion, maybe compassionate anger even at times, or compassionate rage for leaving the world a better place. And of course, you see that, I imagine that comes first from yourself and into then all of these individuals you work with. So can you speak to that? Like, what does that mean to you? What can that look like to you? What are you inviting us all into when it comes to that?
Mm-hmm. So, fierce love. One of the key values that I'd probably call it my main value that I adhere to in this life. And I am inspired, deeply inspired by the embodiment of lions, or how to hold this in myself. For me, lions have always been kind of primary totem. And there is this element of both the deep, deep love and the ferocity. And that is a protective quality to that sacred rage. That, this is, the earth is my body. Like I don't distinguish my body and the earth as being different things. And so how to walk every step, and this is a practice. I'm not perfect at this by any means, I've got all kinds of ways that I can improve here, but striving towards the practice of every step being with love, with care, with honor, like really, really treating all life in the way that I want to be treated. These are my brothers and sisters here, the trees, the snowflakes, looking out the window right now and seeing the breeze kind of blow the snow across. And it's like the most beautiful thing. Like every day I'm in awe. And so what bone in my body doesn't want to like protect us with all my might, with all my love?
I love that. And that was not where I thought you would go, which was even more delightful. That the first and foremost invitation and place from which you are living your life is a place of fierce love for ourselves, for others, for planet Earth, Mother Earth, because at the end of the day, none of those things are separate. They are all one and the same. And the more I live my life to remember the interconnectedness, the oneness of all that is, the easier it becomes for me to step forward with that love. And I just love how you describe that, and certainly still a practice. I mean, every day I get to experience something even newer or different. And how do I now integrate this also? And I want to reiterate this again for everyone listening. To leave the world a better place does not necessarily mean that we need to go out and build these huge things or come up with a new technology or start a foundation. All of those things are amazing. And for those who are here to do that, I support you and I applaud you and I want that. And all of us can move forward with more love. And that takes being more of who we truly are, which is love. So we can do that from anywhere. We can do that from any place, from any space, from any economic status, from any social status, from any race, like all of us can embody more love. And I love that is the invitation. Because from that point, then we can go off and embody our gifts and share those gifts and be empowered with those gifts. Wow. Thank you, Aria.
Yes. Yes, I love it. And I think for me, it's only through coming into connection with that part of myself that I've been able to tap into the bigger visions that my heart holds and make moves towards creating things in my life that are far beyond what I would have imagined creating when I was disconnected from that part of myself. And so, yes, it might be an organization or, some technology or something. It might be being a mother, father, or, caretaking parents, or, like something that maybe in our kind of hierarchy of culture gains, it seems a lot more humble, but it's no less valuable. So like, what's needed here right now? Like, we need everyone to come into connection with the heart, with this part of us that's like, just like so ready to be remembered. It's such a great time to remember stuff. There is like right there if you just reach out for it.
Beautiful. Thank you. That is so powerful, so powerful. And before I shift, you may have spoken what you want to speak. Is there anything else that is bubbling up to the surface that wants to be spoken, addressed before we close out?
What's coming up in this moment, Amanda, is simply an invitation for folks who are curious about coming more into their powers and their gifts. I mentioned a minute ago about my connection with lions. And so the invitation to play and have fun with connecting with non-human supports, non-human resources, whatever that may mean to you. So I work a lot with animals, animal totems. They're super, super fun, super accessible. I know I mentioned also earlier the show about angels, that I loved hearing that. Angels are amazing as well. Our ancestors can often be great resources. Sometimes if we reach further back into our lineage, there are ancestors who were embodying a lot of their spiritual gifts, and you might have to go back a ways, but they're there. And so just playing with that, playing in that space of inviting in, knowing who our team is, knowing who our spirit guides are, and getting help in that way to activate, to remember to turn on our superpowers.
Awesome. Really beautiful. And that was just as much for me as everyone else out there listening. So thank you. Wow. So before we do a final closing, and of course, anyone who is interested to know more about you, find you, connect with you, speak with you, receive from you, we'll make sure they know how to do that. And but before that, I want to ask you 3 questions I ask each of my guests. And this is to better know what inspires you, right? So of course, you're out there doing this amazing work. You are leaning into your gifts and power. And I want to know, of course, what's inspired that. So my first question is, who is a source of inspiration for you and why?
In this moment, I'm going to say my mama. My mom is a source of inspiration for me because she really embodies love and a generosity, and a deep connection to nature, a reverence for nature, like a real honoring and respect for God and nature that I just so love about her.
Beautiful. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
What place or activity most inspires you right now?
So I recently moved back to the area where I grew up in northern Michigan. And so the place would be the woods out my back door. And the activity would be snowshoeing.
Awesome.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm raising a puppy, and she has been having a blast jumping through the snow. It's super cute.
So wonderful. And it's right in your own backyard. literally. So for those listening, sometimes we don't have to go very far to feel inspiration and to feel inspired. Last question. For those readers out there, or if you are a reader yourself, I love to tune into what is one book or a book that stands out to you that has inspired you on your journey.
Well, so many, but one that I've been revisiting recently is called the Sophia Code. And it's a very divinely inspired, channeled sacred text. And it has chapters from different ascended masters, such as Isis, Green Tara, Mary Magdalene, White Buffalo Woman, women from all over the world, and highly recommend dropping into that read at some point.
Beautiful. You are not the first to mention it, and I have not read it, so I'm taking that as well. And anyone listening, yep, when those bells go off or those goosebumps, start crawling on your skin, pay attention. There's often beautiful guidance right there for us to help remember who we are and the powers that we possess and the gifts that we behold, and how we can move forward with them with greater excitement and celebration and joy. So, Aria, what I have taken away most from this conversation is that reminder that as we remember who we truly are, and I often speak about revealing and expressing more of who we truly are, you are reminding me that it can be done with this experience of joy and bliss and celebration. And that to me is so needed in so many of our lives. So thank you for that.
Yay. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, I know you are up to so many wonderful things in the world, working with clients, supporting them in different ways. How can those listening find you, connect with you, work with you, receive from you? How can they do that?
Thank you. So I have my main website is ariamay.com, and I can be reached by email at ariamay.com. It's ARIAMAE.com. And I have right now some space for a couple of one-on-one clients. I just recently launched the School of Ambrosial Animals, which will have future rounds coming up. But right now I have a little bit of one-on-one space, and also hosting beautiful VIP intimate client retreats at my home as well. If you're wanting to go deep and sink into yourself and your powers and some good R&R, then definitely reach out. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, etc. would love to be connected.
Beautiful. Well, I will also make sure that those are links to easily click, or you can simply go and find her. You are all very intelligent and know how to do that as well. So we will be sure you have all of the resources you need to feel supported in connecting with this very, very special woman who I feel a deep connection with, and feel, receive the support you need. We all need different support at different times. And for me, I'm learning to lean into that more myself and offer it, right? But we can only offer it as we receive it. So for any of you out there, this may be an invitation, or at least a nudge for you to, really tune into what you need. If you are writing a book and need support, I am here, and there is a retreat on the horizon in Costa Rica. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a plug as well, because we do still have spots available. It's in March 21st through the 26th. So we'll ensure you know how to find that as well. So there are so many ways to feel supported, nourished, and receive deep transformation, so that you can go forth and spread your gifts and share your gifts from a deep, deep place of knowing who you truly are. Aria, thank you so much for being with us today. This was a true pleasure.
Thank you, Amanda.
And everyone listening and tuning in, thank you for doing so. These conversations are some of my favorite ways to spend my time and energy. And if you enjoyed it, I ask that you share it, that you spread it, that you help us fan the flames of leaving the world a better place. And that starts with each of us. So if this resonated with you, like it, subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, pass it along, and of course, reach out to either, both of us. We would love to hear from you as well. And until next time, many, many blessings.